Going live now.
Right.
Right, yeah.
Yep.
Okay, well, afternoon everyone. This workshop's on delegations, and I know remember back in September, the council voted for district-wide funding model, not districtisation. District-wide funding model, and now what we're working towards is the delegations changing to reflect what's been decided there. So I sent out last week, the changes that I was sort of proposing, and so today what I want to look at is what do you think of those? Asking two questions. Do you think that they're around about where council was going with the district funding model, and do you think that there's anything that's missing from here that should be added? Now we've talked with Cromwell, we talked with Vincent, we talked with Teviot. I wasn't the Teviot one, so I can't make my comment about that. But for the Cromwell one, there was some ideas to move around. So in where I put power to advise, suggested getting rid of that and just using that power to act bit there for everything. And so I'm going to do that. So that's one change that I haven't made it yet. I'm going to make. So yeah, I'm happy to hear what anyone thinks and any suggestions anyone has.
So what is? That's the list. I can see that then.
Yeah.
That's right.
So this is here on the screen. I propose changes here because that basically comes from the legislation, and so that's that won't change. Normally, objectives, which are on the next page, because they also do come from the legislation. So the thing that I've changed around is that bit down there, power to advise. Now, when we were at Cromwell, Neil suggested using the power to act bit, which is on the next page, instead, because even he said even giving advice to council is still a power to act. So I'm going to take that section and put it at the top of the power to advise. So yeah, and so I'm really interested to hear if you think there's anything in particular you think might be missing, particularly from that where that power to advise section is. If there's anything particular you'd like to see there that's not there.
including naming definitely represents.
Now, in that, I realised that, this morning, thanks to Jaden for pointing out to me, that, that it goes there, is there twice. So what we're gonna do is, take all those things in 1, 2, and 3, put them together to make it make more sense. Because what's happened there is I've kind of gone, oh, we'll talk about bridge and roading, and then talking about parks and reserves, and then talking about other stuff, but we really, it's all the same. So we just put that all together. But that the 1 and 2, the reserve naming in 2, that shouldn't be there, should have taken it out. Because that's a specific power that the board has to name a reserve. So I'll take that away. And
Board has.
yes, yeah, reserve naming is a board thing. And it is over here in the power to act section, provision for naming roads and reserves. So that's just there by mistake. I shouldn't have included road naming, reserve naming.
Nice acquisition display.
One thing that was suggested by both Cromwell and Vincent, and I think we're going to do this, is have some specific reference to endowment land, and there to make sure that anything to do with endowment land is coming to the board first. To
Which is what anyway?
for you guys, I think it's your funds, the Maniototo funds.
So that has been, I don't more than just 2 farms.
Oh,
Actually, one of them.
that's the ones I know about.
Only one of the farms is down the back.
Is it?
Well,
And you got James
you got the one at, Scott's is,
Scott's, and he's got that block. That's got that one, isn't it? Yeah.
and I don't know what's happening.
One of the farms isn't, one of the farms isn't.
The store, there's a club at Naseby, Barricades live down there. What I meant to point out earlier on, I think the farm out here at Islands, it was government owned and the council had the running and
And it's endowment.
the money from it, but they couldn't do anything with it because Doc arrived out there one day and wanted a patch of it for bloody bench. We had some plant going on it. And the minister signed that over, then signed that off. Whether that's been changed since, I don't know.
It was, I just looked at one of those GIS maps one day.
It was in reserve, originally.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it? It's forestry. It was where they planted the trial block, wasn't it? It was
Well, they
there,
planted those strawberry pines for the trains because they burn bloody hot.
there in Gibson's and some other place.
Tony and Neil's had one, I think.
Very tough.
So what we're going to do is, so there, it says in 6 there, advice for the acquisition, disposal of council property. We're going to rework that. We're going to keep that one, but we're going to rework something similar for endowment land. So anything that is endowment that's coming, that's.
It just has to be recognised as
Yeah.
included down
Yeah.
in there.
Yeah, so we're going to.
Community involvement down
Yeah, but just gotta make it a separate, probably make a separate one for that. Yeah.
But so endowment land is untouchable, isn't it? And even under districtisation.
No.
No.
That was always the worry about it.
But I thought that was it. If even if it was districtised, endowment land to the, say, the Cromwell Borough was always theirs.
Yes and no.
Well, I think the selling is not the thing, it's where the money goes. So,
It's for the benefit of.
Yeah, I thought the money from the endowment land.
That's where you come with it.
Yeah, going back to the Cromwell.
And that's where Tim got in a wee bit of trouble because he's talking about it as an act of parliament to change it. But that act of parliament means that parliament's got to come back to the community to have those discussions. It can be solved through a process at government level.
Yeah.
The majority of it's been used in the community where it's driven from. Yeah, that's right.
And that so you're going to put that in as a separate.
it's a separate thing, just saying, so sort of along the lines of infrastructural housing right here, but just along the lines of, like if there's anything to do with endowment land, community board will get involved first. And it actually has a provision in there. So it sort of doesn't pop up going much here, by the way, we saw that last year.
Yeah.
Yep.
Not that I think that would happen, but it's just a,
Well, it would have to then go on to council to be done, and it
yeah.
would have to go to council to be done, and therefore have to be consulted with the community board first, so it can't get to council without being consulted anyway. Then the government would come back to community board's recommendation.
Is there anything missing? Do you think there's anything that's missing for you guys? You reckon? Anything glaring?
Well, you got to kind of read it and go through it a few times, but the thing is, if something's happening in the district, it needs to come to the community board before it goes anywhere else.
Yeah.
So you can talk about it locally and go, who knows what, and get like that. If it happens at council level and then comes to this and council says, well, this is what we want to do. Well, this is what we're going to do. I'd object to that. I said, it's come to us first. Even if the country council needs to come to us, this is what we think.
That probably comes in on the provide input to the annual and long-term plan. That's where we should be having
Yeah.
input into it.
Yeah, one of the comments was from Cromwell when we talked to them was making sure that stuff or any issues come to boards as a report, like so on the agenda as opposed to just catching up about it afterwards, to give you a heads up about this or that. And so we're gonna make that a more of a thing, but that's like we're making more conscious effort to make sure that all those issues that are coming to community board first to do with the ward before it goes to council. And we were talking this morning about just amending some of our templates for our reports to ask what does the community board think of this thing? Have you talked to them? What's their position on it? And that way, yes, report writers will have to look at that, and councillors can be wary of it to say, hang on, the community board has to be about this. So hopefully that will get stuff coming to the community board first before it comes to.
Can we not have an unofficial snapshot of the future look sort of thing? Like obviously we've got solar farms that could be 4 or 5 years down the road, and we could that the community board's aware of, saying, well, whereas potential for solar, there's potential for another wing to be built on the hospital, there's potential for a turf at the school, there's potential for chicken farms, and then there's going to be Falls Dam, or like a lot of it.
It should be more than unofficial, that's what I'm saying, it should.
Yeah, it's hard to tell what Feds do because they haven't even applied for consent.
If the council
Like,
staff,
we're not necessarily aware of what's necessarily going on if there's no consent to a different.
Yeah, there's all talk at the moment, but
if the council staff are looking at something, of doing something,
Yeah,
and you tell them, this is what we're looking at doing before we write a report or anything. Bring it to a community board meeting instead of saying, relates to the unofficial part being in point. Of course, well, this is what we're looking at. It's like roads, so this is what we're looking at.
And I think an example of that is, so for road stoppings or partial road stoppings, they come to the community board first for then a recommendation to council, or making a recommendation to council. It's council's decision, but obviously gathering the feedback and comments from the board as there might be additional items and different bits and pieces that the board can provide input in. There's an example of a report that comes to a board before it goes into council. There's an example of having input into those things.
Just input before it happens. It's not after decisions not so much as the decisions be made. Staff has said this is what we want to do. Come to us first and ask them, what do you think about doing this?
Ask a question on that, Wayne or Sarah, could we highlight those challenges and the conversations that have been had with the other boards around the timing of the meetings and aligning?
that is a another concern. I don't know if it's a concern, but it's something that we need to have to think about.
Well, I guess just sometimes things need to be moved on quite quickly. And if you've got council and then a week later you've got the community board meeting for Maniototo, and then you're trying to bring something back to the next council meeting, but it's not going to see the community board first, like whether that needs to be a consideration for
Yeah.
next year. Just because one at 6 weeks and one at monthly
Yeah,
is frequently going to lead to challenges,
Right.
and then 3 months before something can get around both the community board and the council.
well, I mean, you only need to remember back to last month. Yes, because it went. It's a council to the valley,
Same week.
so I guess that was only last week and I've already forgotten. Yeah, so we probably possibly do need to look at that. And we're not sure of the frequency of that because I was saying to VCP this morning, you don't want to hold a meeting for no reason, but on the other hand, you don't want to hold up business. So, do you have it every month or every other month? Not quite sure. Maybe I have to think about that.
Yeah,
It would work for here if you had a placeholder for a meeting every month and it was just cancelled if it was that month. How would that impact on you guys as a board?
Actually, not having a community board meeting.
No, you have like, oh, we're going to have it the first Monday of every month or whatever it be. But
Right.
if there was nothing on the agenda for that month, it would just be cancelled in advance.
these are two different things, aren't we? There's wanting to know what is in the pipeline before council signs it off.
Yeah.
And all. And I understand exactly what I'm saying, because just like with bridge work, what are we doing in the next year? How far down the road is solar farms, or how far down is a wind farm? Is there going to be anything done to the touring route or something like that? I mean, it's just, because sometimes you go, oh, I didn't realise that. That's no different to us at council, as long as we're dealing with the gold mine, or it's a lot of information goes around, but it just something affects us, because even the solar farms, I'm not to this day, I'm not sure there's been resource consent required for years. Lots.
Have to check.
Yeah, but I mean, so everyone's going, well, what's happening? And, well, so, yeah, but most stuff does come just before the big ticket items, just, work programs could just be the sewage or the wastewater part. What is happening down there? When are they looking at starting? Have we understand it?
And I just like, obviously roading being a districtised activity, we try to update as best we can around programs. And I know questions do come from the different boards, and we pop down if there's, for example, we've been to the TV a couple of times because some work was going to happen on the Miller's Flat Bridge, just to let them know what was happening, when it was happening, the closure, and different bits and pieces. It wasn't necessarily around approval from the board, but it was just around keeping that community informed, because they're the ones that then going back out into those communities. So, yeah, that's how, I mean, not sure from a formal versus informal update, but from what you're talking to, Stu, but we absolutely from our space can make sure that we're bringing those community-based things through.
Yeah, recently, been using the governance report with it and stuff and stuff. They have extra little bits and pieces as well. By way of update, I know people had one about Miller's, that was a typical one, you had one about Miller's Flat Bridge. And we can use that as a way as well. And then that everyone can be updated, and it should be a record of the meeting as well. And there could be a recommendation in there if there needed to be as well, to go through the council.
Like when we had to have that Zoom meeting the other day, that matters. Just happened, didn't it? Well, it's not hard. Something urgent comes up.
Yeah.
Now we had to work at computers, that was the only help. So like, yeah.
Well, I guess just not getting surprises.
Yeah. It's like being
But something happens and then someone rings up and asks you, don't know.
you get a text for living water, mate. Some cell phone tower, you're standing in the coffee shop and they're going, what's going on here? And the guy walks, it's all done with a cell phone tower.
Yeah.
So they don't need that because it's under the Telecommunications Act or something. It's not on council land. Is it road reserve?
It's up, yeah.
So is that road reserve is that council land? Yeah, so really nice to get something that, hey, this is happening on Monday and see what's your drilling with drill a bit hole and you're getting an ear from an old lady. What's all the noise because she's sitting at the radio station, she can't hear herself think. Things like that. Simple as but communications.
I do the consistency.
Still explain new word. Anything else?
Okay, cool. And our next step is going to be next week at the council workshop session. We're going to go through this again with council, having made a bunch of changes that have been recommended, and then after that we'll bring like a more or less finished form to each of the boards in the December meeting before it goes to council on the 18th December. So you'll be able to see it, have a look at it again, and it's more or less finished.
You're happy? Thank you very much.
Oh.
Lunch?